Hello, everybody. Msgr Ritchie once again from St. Patrick's Cathedral here in New York City, America's Parish Church. Just want you to see my newest mask. I received this just yesterday from some very special friends from Las Vegas, and it has a cross, which looks very, very nice. Today is Tuesday, and every Tuesday we have Q&A, questions and answers. A number of people have sent me questions, and I will do my best to answer them for everybody's enlightenment. And remember, when I give an answer, it's my opinion. If it's an opinion piece, sometimes it's a matter of facts, and I usually know the facts. But if it's an opinion, you just have to remember that it's Msgr Ritchie's opinion, not necessarily everybody's opinion. All right, so here, first question today from Norwalk, Connecticut. I've been a Knight of Columbus for 13 years and very proud to be one. Did you have any exposure to the Knights when you were younger? And is there a council at St. Patrick's Cathedral? Well, I've been a priest going on 50 years, and I've only been in 3 parishes. The 2 parishes before here, one was in Harlem and the other was in the Bronx, and neither had councils of the Knights of Columbus. Here at St. Patrick's, I think maybe many years ago we did, but we do not now. But we do have wonderful contacts with the Knights of Columbus. The Respect Life Mass every year is supported and sponsored by the Knights of Columbus, and they come out. Again, this year was different, but in normal years, they'll come out in their uniforms, and it's a great display of the piety and the dedication of the Knights of Columbus to the Church and to the Catholic Church. On a personal level, when I graduated high school, I won a scholarship from the Knights of Columbus that helped me through my first 4 years of college. So I'm grateful to the Knights for that. I remember Pope John Paul II doing Mass at Yankee Stadium in 1979, and the Knights donated plaques that were moved from the old to the new Yankee Stadium. Were you involved with that Mass in 1979? Yes, I was. I was there and involved in the Mass, and the Pope had a Mass prior to that, or a celebration prior to that at Madison Square Garden, and it was for the youth, and I was part of the committee that organized that. So when our Holy Father, St. John Paul II, came to New York in 1979, I was very much a part of it, and it was a great event for the city, and certainly a great event for the Catholic Church in New York. And he asked me to keep up the good work. I hope I will keep up the good work. Okay, my next question comes from my friend in California, wanting to talk about the differences during the Triduum, which is Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Holy Saturday and Sunday. Those 3 put together mark the very most solemn time of the year for us Catholics. And some people say, well, I'm going to Mass for Good Friday. And in fact, that's not quite accurate. Let me just mention the 3, the Triduum and the events that take place. So on Holy Thursday, it's part of the Triduum. Traditionally, in all Catholic churches, it'll only be 1 Mass, usually in the evening. And here at St. Patrick's, there will be 1 Mass in the evening at 5:30. It's called the Mass of the Lord's Supper. During that Mass, the celebrant would wash the feet of the symbolic apostles, or people that would be representing the apostles. But of course, this year with the COVID, we are not having the washing of the feet, but we do have the Mass of the Lord's Supper at 5:30. Now, traditionally, that would be the only Mass, but because we have so many people that would be unable to come to the 5:30, we have a second Mass, or a first Mass really, at 12 noon on Holy Thursday. And that will be live streamed. So just remember, Holy Thursday, there's no 7 a.m. Mass, but there will be a live stream Mass at noon, and then the Mass of the Lord's Supper at 5:30 also will be live streamed. Good Friday. Good Friday it's the only day of the year when Mass is not celebrated, Mass with a capital M. we do have the liturgy, which is, many people will say, well, that's the Mass, isn't it? Well, it's not quite the Mass. It's a series of readings and prayers and adoration of the cross and Holy Communion. So it's different from our traditional Mass, our usual Mass. It's not a prayer service. Some people think it is, because it's more than that. And that will take place here at 3:30. So on Good Friday, the live streaming, and I'm sure many people are interested in it, we will have our traditional Friday Stations of the Cross live streamed at 10 a.m. Then at noon, we will have the Tre Ore, or the 3-hour celebration of the 7 last words of Christ. That will go from 12 o'clock till 3. And then at 3:30, Cardinal Dolan will celebrate the liturgy of the Lord's Passion, and that will take place between 3:30 and 4:30 or 5. And then at 6 o'clock, we will have the Stations of the Cross, which we normally would have at St. Patrick's every year. And again, that will be live streamed. So on Good Friday, nothing until 10 a.m. That will be Stations of the Cross. 12 noon, the 3-hour, 7 last words. 3:30, the liturgy. And 6 o'clock, this Stations of the Cross. All will be live streamed. On Holy Saturday, once again, we are remembering the Lord's time in the tomb. So there's absolutely nothing that will be happening on Holy Saturday until the Easter Vigil, the mother of all vigils, which will take place at 8 o'clock on Holy Saturday, 8 p.m. on Holy Saturday. And again, that will be live streamed. Part of the celebration of the vigil is the lighting of the new fire and the blessing of the Paschal candle. This big, and you'll see it on when we have the Easter Mass. It's a huge candle. And then the people in the pews will also be holding candles, because that's what we do at the vigil. But this year we will not be doing that. The reason for that, if you just think about it, if we're all holding candles, and at a certain point we have to turn them off or blow them out, what do we have to do? Everybody would have to take off their masks and blow. And obviously, if we are being safe from COVID, we know that is not a good practice. So for this year, we will not have candles for the Easter Vigil, which we normally would do. And then on Easter Sunday, once again, on Sunday we live stream the 10:15, and we will do that again this year. And it'll be a regular Mass for Easter Sunday. So those are the differences, because Holy Week there are certain differences, but people are used to saying, well, I'm going to Mass, when on Good Friday it's not called a Mass, it is called a liturgy. Okay. The question is, what time of day is the morning Mass, which is on YouTube? Monday to Friday, the Mass is live streamed at 7 a.m. and then is repeated on YouTube and on the Catholic Faith Network at different times. But it is the 7 a.m. Mass, daily Mass. On Saturday, the Mass is at 8 a.m. and on Sunday it is at 10:15. So each of those live stream Masses will be archived, and people can come back and see the Mass or participate in the Mass at any time after it's live streamed. My question is, who are the priests assigned to St. Patrick? I can't seem to find their names anyplace. I see them on the altar and would like to know more about them. Well, there are 5 of us. I'm the rector, Monsignor Ritchie. Then Father Andrew King is the Master of Ceremonies. Father Edward Docherty is a Maryknoll missionary on the staff. Father Donald Haggerty is a priest of the Archdiocese of New York on the staff. And then Father Arthur Golino is also a priest of the Archdiocese, and he is on our staff. So there are 5 of us. Ordinarily, during the year, other than COVID, we would also have 3 deacons who assist very much. But the 5 of us live together at the rectory at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Okay. At the end of the Mass on January 24th, you invited a Dominican friar to speak of his order's mission in Africa. I know of the Jesuits, Dominicans, Augustinians, Franciscans, but would like to know how many clerical orders are there, and is every priest required to join an order? That's a very good question. It's a very large question that I don't think we'll be able to answer completely, but there are basically two types of ordained priests in the Catholic Church. One group is called the secular priests, and the other is called the order priests, or sometimes the secular priests are called diocesan priests. So if you become, or for example, all of the priests that work in St. Patrick's Cathedral are secular priests or diocesan priests, except for Father Doherty, who's a religious order priest. And so he's a Marinoler, so that's the group that he belongs to. There are Redemptorists, there are Piarists, there are, I can't tell you, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of different orders that are made up sometimes only of priests, sometimes priests and brothers, sometimes priests, brothers, and sisters. But there are many, many, many of them. So when somebody becomes a priest, he's trained in the seminary, and either he's in a seminary that's training him to work as a diocesan priest or a secular priest. He goes to one type of seminary, and if he belongs to a religious order, he will go to a different type of seminary that the religious order uses. Does every priest required to join an order? Obviously not. You can be part of an order, or you can be a secular priest or a diocesan priest, which is what I am. That comes from San Francisco. Again, this comes from California. A religious community, the Oblates of St. Joseph, during this year of St. Joseph are going to be very, very active in mission work, in retreat work, in confessions and masses. So he is very honored to put forth their name to us as very special during this time of St. Joseph. So the Oblates of St. Joseph's were founded in Italy by St. Joseph Morello and under the patronage of St. Joseph. So that's good to know that there is one of the orders, again, going back to the last question, one of the orders is an order called the Oblates of St. Joseph, and they are very important here. Next question is a really complicated one, and you just have to keep your thinking caps on for this one, okay? Monsignor Ritchie, how does Easter arrive annually? Okay, that's a great, great question. And so the way Easter is determined by the Western Christian Church is, now listen real carefully, it's the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox. So the very first day of spring, the first Sunday that comes after a full moon has started in spring. Sounds very, very complicated, but there's an algorithm for figuring this out, and I went to it recently, and I can tell you a very interesting fact. So between 1600 and 2099, the date of Easter that is the most common is, both are March 22nd and April 25th. In those 500 years, those two dates happen 22 times. No, let me just step back from that. I just made a mistake. March 31st and April 16th. Those are the most common dates for Easter. That's right. So March 31st and April 16th happened during these 500 or 600 years 22 times. The earliest possible date for Easter during this time is March 22nd, and the very last possible date for Easter during this time is April 25th. My birthday, as some of you know, was last week, March 26th, and on Easter happens on my birthday 15 times during these 500-600 years. I thought that would be an interesting little sidebar. Somebody has been writing me saying, I know that you were baptized on April 1st, so I was trying to figure out what day you were born. Well, that's not true. I was baptized on April 15th. Part of my instruction when I deal with people who are baptizing their babies is to tell them to make sure your baby knows that their birthday in the church is whatever the day of their baptism is. So years ago, somebody asked me, and I didn't know, so I finally looked it up and found out that it's April 15th. And that's, as every American knows, is a day that nobody will forget because it's our tax day. So that's the day I was baptized. Not April 1st, but April 15th. I was born on March 26th, so this is about 2 weeks after that. 2.5 weeks. Okay, this comes from my friends in New Jersey. And it's a good question. Why are the holy people of the Old Testament, Moses, Elijah, Jeremiah, Isaiah, and many others as well, not saints? They certainly are saintly and have connection to Jesus, the Transfiguration. Well, it's a great question. Now remember, we use the word saint especially as a capital, to designate people that the church the church has recognized as their holiness not only was so evident, but that God would reward it by bringing them to heaven. So we say a person with the title saint is someone that the church believes completely, truly that they are in heaven. Now, the process of becoming a saint, again, as many people know, is that when a person dies and they have lived lives of great virtue, at a certain point, it used to be at least 5 years after they're dead, the church would investigate their lives. If they're found to be possible saints, they're called servants of God, and the continuation of their investigation of their lives continues. At a certain point, if there is a determination that there's a good chance that they're going to be saints, they get the title venerable. Then later on, if there is a miracle associated with them, they become blessed. And if there's a second miracle, they become given the title saint. Now, all of this is the normal way of doing it. Sometimes it's changed a little bit. It goes out of the way. But this process of canonization is a fairly recent activity of the church. Before it was instituted as a formal process, the church does recognize the holiness of individual people. So, for example, the name of this cathedral is St. Patrick's Cathedral. And St. Patrick was never canonized. And the reason for that was that process didn't exist when he was noted for his holiness and honored as the missionary apostle of Ireland and called saint. So we have the great statue of him over there. And there are many, many saints of the earlier church that didn't have the process of canonization, but they're still called saints. In the Old Testament, certainly we have no doubt that Moses and Elijah and Isaiah and Jeremiah are with God, and we just don't use the term saint for Old Testament people, even though we certainly believe that they are saints. In addition, just remember again, there are many, many, many saints that don't have the title. Every year on All Saints' Day, we celebrate all of the saints that exist, that are with God in heaven. And certainly I know a number of people that I have no doubt are with God in heaven, but they don't have the title. So whether you use the title or not, we know, or we believe, that certain people that have exhibited the holiness of their lives, and they are definitely with God. So we have no doubts that Moses and Elijah are with God. So that was from my friend from New Jersey. Why does the Protestant Bible, the King James Version, have 7 fewer books than our Catholic Bible? Well, remember, the Old and the New Testament are the two divisions of what we call the Bible. The Old Testament is also called the Hebrew Scriptures. And when the church put the Bible together and put the Old Testament and the New Testament together, one of the realities was that there was not only the Hebrew version of the Old Testament books, but there was also something called the Septuagint, which was a Greek translation from the Hebrew of the different books of what we call the Hebrew Scriptures or the Old Testament. The Septuagint had a few extra books that were not written originally in Hebrew, and so when the Catholic Church put the Bible together, they accepted the books that were in the Septuagint but not in the Hebrew Scriptures, and they were called the Apocrypha, the hidden books. So when the Protestant Reformation came, what happened with the Protestant reformers is that they went to the Old Testament Hebrew version as opposed to the Septuagint or the Greek version. So they had fewer books in the Old Testament than were in the book that was called the Bible for many, many years, that was established by the church. So that's the word apocrypha. So if you get a Bible that is a Protestant Bible, it usually would not have the apocrypha. There are some Bibles that are not Catholic ones but would have the apocrypha. Sometimes you'll see the Bible with apocrypha, which means that would be the size of the Catholic Bible as opposed to the King James Version. This is a great... Let me do this one. This is a very lovely one. Can you tell us a little bit about the first time you were celebrant at Mass? Well, my first Mass happened on May 30th, 1971. My parish in the Bronx, St. Benedict's. And I had about 15 concelebrants with me. I had all my family, and my parents, my grandmother, my brothers, and a lot of other family members, and some of the people of St. Benedict's. And it's a wonderful, sacred feeling. I don't know if I could put it in words, but it was a magnificent, magnificent day, and it was something that I had been looking forward to for my whole life. And it was just, it was wonderful. It was Pentecost Sunday, so I have a beautiful picture with all of us dressed in red on Pentecost Sunday. And this is not the same question, but it's I want to tell you something similar to it. The first time you were celebrant at Mass was that, May 30th, 71. First time I was celebrant here at St. Patrick's. Let me just tell you about that. Cardinal Egan had told me that twice a month he would be the celebrant for the solemn Mass here, and twice a month he would be out in the parishes, and I would be the celebrant of the solemn Mass. So the day came, and he was out in the country visiting parishes, and I had the Mass. And so the Master of Ceremonies asked me, do you want the long procession or the short procession? The short procession would come from the back around the pulpit and right up the stairs. The long would go all the way to the doors of the church and come down the main aisle. So I said, I want the long procession. And he said, okay. Do you want to preach from the ambo, which is right here, which is where typically most of the priests preach from, or the pulpit, which is up, as you see? And I said, I want to preach from the pulpit. So he said, okay. So when the deacon announced the gospel and he finished, and I had to go up to preach, I came to the pulpit, and I was walking up the stairs, and I said to myself, you should be nervous. And then I said, well, Bob, you've been doing this for 35 years, which was true at the time, so you don't have to be nervous at all. So I got up to the top, to the pulpit. I put my hands on the lectern up there. I fixed the microphones, and I looked out at the congregation. It was a completely full church that day. There were people standing in the aisles. Every single face was looking at me, and it was absolutely quiet. I took a deep breath, and I said to myself, I like this. And I felt the same way ever since. It's a magnificent privilege and honor and blessing for me to be the rector here of St. Patrick's Cathedral, and I never stop thanking God for that, and I still have the same feeling when I celebrate Mass. Last question. How many total people attend Mass via YouTube, Sirius, Catholic Network, TV, etc.? We know what YouTube attendance is about 6,000 daily and 30,000 Sundays and almost 35 on Ash Wednesday. We think that we're seen by maybe close to 60,000 people every Sunday because of all of the different places that we're broadcast to. And if you remember last year, because of COVID, all of the churches were closed. There was absolutely, at least here in New York, there was nothing happening. And so when we live streamed the Mass, and it went on PIX television also, besides the usual sources, we had, I think, we had about 2 million people watching on that time. Now, things are different this year, but we certainly will have many, many thousands. And it is, and again, something that we here, the priests of the parish and the Cardinal himself, we all know what a tremendously important service it is that we have the Mass live streamed, even when people are able to go back to their own churches. Just one last reminder, Easter Sunday is the Sunday, obviously, and Mass will begin at 10 o'clock instead of 10:15, and it will be live streamed. All right, may God bless all of you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I'll see you in church. Have a great day.